My dear learners, welcome to the world of education. Welcome to the world of learning. Let's start exploring. Let's start learning. This is Sukriti Joshi, and you have come to the right destination, that is English Gurukul, right? All right. So what are we waiting for? Let's start studying. Let's start having fun. Let's dive deep into the recesses of learning, right? So, Sukriti Joshi, and with me, we are going to dive deep into the recesses of learning. All right. So, today I've decided, I'm shooting videos in bits and parts, right? Now, I would be talking about the types of dramas, right? So, that's what I'm going to talk about. We are going to talk about types of dramas, right? Let me just share this. So we are going to talk about the types of dramas, right? Okay, so first and foremost, we have comedy, then we have tragedy, then we have melodrama, then we have tragic comedy, then we have farce, then we have opera. And then we have elements of drama. In elements of under elements of drama, we get to see dianoia, mythos, ethos, lexis, milos, and opsis. Clear? We are going to study all of this. Don't worry. Take it easy. Right? All right. You're with me. You're with Sukriti Joshi ma'am. You're in safe hands. Trust me. So we are going to start off with the types of drama. Sometimes this pen or this board, I think it's the problem of the board. Types of drama. So we are going to study types of drama, right? So when we talk about types of drama, we are talking about comedy, we are talking about tragedy, we are talking about melodrama. Clear? So we are talking about melodrama, we are talking about tragic comedy. Clear? We are talking about farce. Is that okay? We are talking about farce. Then we are talking about opera. Opera. Right? So herein we are talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can remember. Comedy. Clear? We are talking about comedy. We are talking about tragedy. We are talking about melodrama. We are talking about tragic comedy. We are talking about farce. We are talking about opera. That is right. Is this pen not working? All right. Is that clear? So far so good. You're in safe hands. Don't worry. When we talk about comedy, so when we talk about comedy, right? If we are talking about comedy, as we all are aware, it is lighter in tone. So when we talk about comedy, it is lighter in tone. So it is lighter in tone. Here, it is lighter in tone. Comedies are intended to make the audience laugh. And what are comedies meant for? Comedies are basically meant for making people laugh. Kidding, just kidding, right? and usually have happy endings. So comedies, they tend to have happy happy endings. All right. I'll discuss. This board is just not this happy endings, right? So whenever we tend to talk about comedy, we talk about the happy endings. We talk about the happy endings. We talk about happy endings. Consider this to be an ending. All right. So comedies play a place of beat characters in unusual situations, causing them to do and say funny things. Comedy can also be sarcastic in nature. So sometimes when we are talking about comedies, it can be sarcastic in nature too, right? It can be sarcastic in nature too. It can be sarcastic in nature too. It can be sarcastic. Why is this not? It can be sarcastic in nature too. Mhm. All right. Yeah. So comedies can, when we talk about comedies, they can be sarcastic in nature, right? Sarcastic, that means they can sometimes hurt the feelings of people as well. So you might be doing a comedy show. For instance, there is this Kapil Sharma shows, right? Kapil Sharma show that comes on television, right? So it's a comedy, but sometimes it tends to use sarcasm also, right? Sometimes it tends to use sarcasm, right? I'll just stop this board. So, yeah, this is okay. So, when we talk about comedies, comedies can also be sarcastic in nature, poking fun at serious topics. So they can poke fun at serious topics. So sometimes you might feel that this is a very serious topic and this has to be dealt in a serious way, but that particular topic is being dealt in a very calm way, right? So there are also several sub-genres of comedy, including, so you have several sub-genres. I wanted to write it on the whiteboard, but I don't know why whiteboard wasn't responding. So there are several sub-genres of the comedy. So you have the romantic comedy, you have the sentimental comedy, you have a comedy of manners, and you have a tragic comedy, right? So how many comedies are the how do we categorize? Number one, romantic comedy. Number two, sentimental comedy. Number three, comedy of manners. Number four, tragic comedy. Clear? One, romantic comedy. Second, sentimental comedy. With romance, you can associate sensibility, sensuousness. Yes, you can associate that. Can you? If you can, you it is the best methodology that you can adopt by using association. If you want to learn something, you can just in psychology we have this method of association for better learning. So you can adopt that. So romantic comedy, then sentimental comedy, through sentimental comedy, although it's different. A comedy of manners, right? Then tragic comedy. Four categories done. This is comedy. These were the categories of comedy. Comedy, I have explained it to you. What do you mean by comedy, right? So now we are going to go to the second part, that is tragedy, right? When we move to the second part, so tragedy, obviously, when we, I spoke about the tone, that you have a light tone, right? When we talk about comedy, we tend to have a light tone. We tend to use a light tone. We use sarcasm, although, but there is comedy. There's humor in it. You portray, you delineate things that will bring laughter, that will bring joy on the faces of the people, of the masses, right? But when we talk about the second category, that is tragedy, tragedy is based on darker themes. So it is based on darker themes, right? Um, Tragedies portray serious subjects. So comedies, when I spoke about comedy, it had happy endings, right? And it basically, comedies placed off be characters in unusual situations, causing them to do and say funny things, right? And comedy can also be seen as sarcastic and as poking fun at serious subjects. But tragedy, on the other hand, what do we get to see? How is it different? Tragedies portray serious subjects like death, very serious subject, like, right? Disaster, again a very serious subject. Disaster, any, it could be any calamity, it could be any disaster, human disaster, man-made, natural disaster, any disaster, right? And human suffering. And if a human is suffering from pain, agony, trauma, depression, anxiety, anything, right? That suffering also comes under tragedy, right? So tragedy delineated everything in a dignified and thought-provoking way, right? It depicted everything and delineated everything in a thought-provoking way. Um, Rarely enjoying happy endings. So tragedy rarely had happy endings. As the name only suggests, tragedy, we are talking about something that is not good, something that is not pleasant. So it did not speak about, it did not talk about happy endings. It spoke about serious subject. It spoke about the tragedies of life. It spoke about the death. It spoke about the subject matter had to do with death, with disaster, with tragedies, with the human suffering. Rarely enjoying happy endings, characters in tragedies like Shakespeare's Hamlet. So one of the major examples that comes to our mind, uh, to my mind, is Shakespeare's Hamlet, right? So if we take the example of Shakespeare's Hamlet, that is one of the uh, greatest examples that we can see in that falls under the category of tragedy, right? So Shakespeare's Hamlet uh, are often these are often burdened by tragic character flaws. So there are tragic character flaws. Now character flaws, you again, there's I'll be creating another video for that. You need to understand what do you actually mean by tragic flaw. So it's a flaw in a character, because of which the character suffers the downfall in his journey. So it's a flaw in the character's personality or nature, and because of that, he has to suffer, and he has to suffer to such an extent that brings about his own doom or tragedy, so to say, right? Um, burdened by tragic character flaws that ultimately lead to their demise. So it actually ultimately leads to their own demise, to their own death, right? Because of the flaw in their own character, right? So this is what you mean by tragedies. Now we move ahead with melodrama. Melodrama. Yes, you heard it right. We are moving ahead with melodrama. So the word melodrama is coined from mellow, that means music, right? That means music, right? And when we talk about drama, that is basically uh, the drama, right? Drama, right? It is therefore a play that utilizes music extensively. So it has to do with music. As you can understand, melodrama, mellow has to do with music. So it is a play that has to do with music, right? I'm teaching you as you are in nursery or prep. Okay. All right. I'm teaching you that in such a way so that you understand. Yeah. You're able to relate to it in a better manner. So, all right. Let's come back to studies. It is therefore a play that utilizes music extensively. So, it is therefore a play that utilizes music extensively. But the utilization of music is not the only factor. But the utilization of music is not only the primary factor, right, that defines melodrama. Uh, what really makes it melodrama is its portrayal of the protagonist and the antagonist. So, what actually differentiates, what actually, um, how we can define melodrama is the fact that how do we define a protagonist and how do we define an how do we define an antagonist, right? So how the protagonist has been portrayed and how the antagonist has been portrayed. The protagonist suffers a lot. So in melodrama, the protagonist suffers a lot. As you nowadays, even in your films, in your movies, whether it be a Bollywood movie or a Hollywood movie or a regional movie, you get to see that the protagonist is the main hero. Let me tell you, the main character, right, of the play, of the story. That so the protagonist is the main hero or the main character, right? So he has to suffer. He or she, whoever it is, mostly it is he, because we are talking about ancient times. So he, even she is also there. So she can also be the protagonist. So whoever is that person, he or she suffers a lot. So protagonist suffers a lot but triumphs in the end. But this is not like tragedy, in which we get to see that because of his suffering he dies, or his demise takes place. It's not like that. The ending is not tragic. The ending is a happy one, in which the hero or the heroine or the protagonist wins, triumphs over, right? Uh, at the end, while the antagonist suffers. So, while the antagonist, who is the antagonist now, you will ask? Antagonist is the person who is the villain. For instance, uh, if I talk about, if you pick any serial, right, you get to see a lot of antagonists in serials, Hindi serials, right? Um, uh, if I talk about one Hindi serial is coming to my mind, and that is Kasauti Zindagi Ki, right? In that, Kamalika was the antagonist and Prerna was the protagonist. So we get to see that how the antagonist actually suffers at the end, and the protagonist is, actually wins at the end, right? Although he suffers or she suffers, but how he or she actually wins or triumphs over. Uh, at the end. This happens at the end. Earlier, the protagonist also has to suffer, right? Why suffer? Why are we talking about suffering? We are talking about suffering because, see, in life, everybody suffers, right? It's the truth, right? If I talk about there can't be anyone, or there can be people. I don't know. I'm not aware about those people who haven't suffered I there are people. I mean, there might be people, a lot of people, but there is a lot of suffering, and I have myself suffered a lot. So, but I think that in my movie of life, in my life's movie, I am my own main protagonist, and I'll win at the end. I know that. So yeah. Uh, so melodrama can be defined as a play that has serious action caused by a villain and a destruction of the villain, which brings about a happy resolution in the play. So at the end you get to see a happy resolution, right? Then we have tragic comedy. Now, what is tragic comedy? Now, we have seen that tragedy is a serious play. Okay? We have already seen that ends on a sad note, right? So we have already seen that tragedy is a that tragedy ends on a serious note. It's a it has to deal with a serious subject and subject matter, and a person has to suffer a lot, right? While comedy ends happily, and we have seen that why tragic comedy ends with happiness, comedy ends on a happy note, right? And tragedy ends on a sad note. Then what is tragic comedy? Now, in traditional tragedy, playwrights were not allowed to bring in any comic action. So in traditional, when we talk about the traditional comedies, in those comedies, uh, uh, in traditional sorry, in not comedies, in traditional tragedies, if we talk about traditional tragedies, there were people who used to say that you cannot have a positive ending, right? That you cannot have that they were not allowed to bring in um comic action at all. So they couldn't bring in the comic action, so to say. In Oedipus Rex, if we take the example of Oedipus Rex, you might have even come across this terminology in psychology, right? So if we see English literature and psychology together, you get to see a lot of terminologies that are similar in nature, right? So Oedipus Rex, for instance, we will in Rex, for instance, we will observe that the atmosphere is tense from the beginning from the beginning to the end. So the atmosphere remains very, very tense right from the beginning till the very end. It's not that, at the beginning, it was not, it's not like melodrama in which the protagonist suffered, and then at the end, he or she enjoyed his or her or their lives perfectly. No, it's not like that. In this Oedipus Rex, for instance, it was it was a tense atmosphere right from the beginning till the end. That means beginning you have when you see the plot again. I'll make another video on plot as well, because I need to talk about it. Plot is divided into, as you know, beginning. There's a beginning to a plot, there's a middle point to a plot, and then there's an end to a plot, right? And if we study further, if we go deeper into that, it's even more intense, right? So I have to make another video on that, right? Do remind me. All right, so now uh for now, you need to keep in mind that as this time went on, even from the Elizabethan period, comic characters were included in tragic plays. So as this time as this time went on, even from the Elizabethan period. Now, which period are we referring to? We are referring to the Elizabethan period. You need to keep in mind the various periods that we have in English literature. There are several periods that you get to see. Again, I'm going to cover that soon in our series, in our lectures. I'm going to make another video on that. There are different ages, there are different periods, right? So we are talking about the Elizabethan period, comic characters were included in tragic plays. This is called comic relief. And this particular thing is called comic relief. What? Comic relief. When comic characters were included in tragic plays. So, for instance, uh, there there can be a tragedy in which a comic character, suppose A person has been, suppose B person, let's take BC. Let's take BC. The name is BC. The name of the character is BC. Suppose there's a tragic play and BC character has entered this play, right? And BC is a comic character. He's a very, he has comic traits, right? He's a very comic character. And he has suddenly entered a very serious state of affairs. So that is the comic relief, wherein you get, as the name only suggests, relief. It's a kind of relief that you get in a tragedy, where tragic events are taking place, where suffering is there. All of a sudden, comic characters or some from somewhere, comic a kind of relief is coming. That is comic relief, right? Then tragic comedy is a play that mixes both comic and tragic. That is obvious, right? As the name only suggests, tragic comedy, it includes both the elements, tragic as well as comic, right? All right, then in equal proportion, and they're in equal proportion. It's not that tragedy is having an upper hand and comedy is having a lower part, or comedy is having a higher part and tragedy is having a lower part. There should be a balance, right? So there's a balance between the two. They are both on the same. They are both on the same platter, right? So it therefore elicits both tragic and comic emotions. Therefore, obviously, it will evoke comic as well as tragic emotions, right? In these plays, the characters take on tragedy with humor in bringing serious situations to happy endings. So in these plays, the characters take on tragedy with humor. So obviously, they take on tragedy with humor. Humor related to happiness, right? Humor in bringing about in bringing serious situations to happy endings, right? Then we move on to farce, the next characteristic, right? So farce, when we talk about farce, coming to farce, which is referred to as comedy of a situation. So farce is a comedy of situation, right? It's a comedy of situation. It's a humorous play on a trivial theme, usually one that is familiar to the audience. So it's a comedy or not comedy. It's a humorous, yeah, comedy. You can say that it's a humorous play on a trivial theme. So the theme might not be so um big, so epic in nature. The theme is a very trivial theme. It might not be concerned with the universe or with the globe or with the galaxy or with the uh, environment at large. It might uh, be related to something very trivial, right? So um, that is familiar to the audience. The themes that are treated in farce include mistaken identity, elaborate misunderstanding, switched costume, men in women's clothes, heroes forced under tables, misheard instructions, discoveries, disappearances, and many more such situations. It presents physical activities that grow out of situations. Fast does not treat serious social issues. So fast does not treat serious social issues. It is not concerned with serious social issues. Serious social issues, what are serious social issues? Basically, when we say social, it has to do with society, or it can be with anything that is, you know, big or epic in nature. So it does not deal with such social issues, societal issues, the issues that are actually concerning the mankind. It is, it has got nothing to do with it, right? So, but what the themes basically are, jotted down, in farce include mistaken identity. So mistaken identity, like, we can take an example from, um, what's the name? Okay. Yeah. Um. Okay. We'll continue. So mistaken identity, elaborate misunderstanding, switched costume, men in women's clothes, which was very, very common, right? So men used to sit in women's clothes, and heroes forced under tables, misheard instructions, discoveries, or disappearances, right? Yeah. When I talked about, when I was trying to recollect As You Like It, before I forget that, before I forget the name, I don't know why I am forgetting the name of As You Like It. With mistaken identity, when we talk about mistaken identity, As You Like It can be one of the examples, right? Then, yeah, and also the fact that, the importance of being earnest by, by Oscar Wilde is one of the examples, right? So then we move on to opera, right? Opera. Now this versatile genre of drama combines theater. So it combines theater, right? Obviously opera. When we hear the word opera, what comes to our mind? That it is related. That it is related to theater. It is related. It has to do something with the theater. It has to do with something. It has to do something with the stage. It has to do something with the theater, right? Opera, tuck, 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 right? So this versatile genre of drama combines theater, dialogue, music. Yes, that it has to do with. So it has to do with music, right? Right, right. And dance to tell grand stories of tragedy and comedy. Since characters express their feelings and intentions through song rather than dialogue, so they do not make use of dialogue. I mean, they they sort of take resort to songs, right? So they sing, right? These so they express their feelings and intentions through song rather than dialogue. Performers must be both skilled actors and singers. So performers who had to perform had to be skilled both in acting as well as in singing, right? So they had to sing and they had to act, right? The decidedly tragic La Boheme by Giacomo Puccini and the Bawdy comedy of Falstaff by Giuseppe Verdi are classic examples of opera, right? Now we come on to the elements of drama. Now, according to the Aristotelian conventions, six basic elements are followed in any drama across eras. Six basic. Remember that, right? Six basic elements are followed. Now, what are those six basic elements? Now, the first one being Dionia, Dionia, right? The theme of the play is the central idea. So the theme, obviously, whenever we talk about drama, whenever we speak about theater, play or drama, we tend to talk about the theme, right? Whether it be right now, also we spoke about triviality, right? The trivial theme or the serious theme or the serious tone or the lighter tone or the lighter mood, comedy, tragic comedy, right? We spoke about all of that. Now we are going to talk about the theme of the play, which is the central idea. So it's the central idea, of course, right? Around which the story is built. So around that central idea, the story is built. That is called the theme, right? It is either expressed through dialogue or action or inferred after the entire performance. So it is either expressed through dialogue. So either you say something, right? When you say something, when you read lines, or when you read a story, and when you say when you read a play and you read the lines, you are basically reading the dialogue only, right? So you are enacting, you're acting as well, right? So you are reading, uh and when you are reading a dialogue, and you are reading with an action, right? For instance, if there's an action of picking up a bag, you'll pick up a bag. If there's an action uh, of sitting, you'll sit. If there's an action of standing, you'll stand, right? So with an action or inferred about or inferred after the entire performance, right? Then we come on to the second one, mythos. Now, mythos, the order of events occurring in the play in the plot. So, mythos is the occurrence of the events uh, occurring in a particular line, right? Chain of thought, chain of events, right? We can say that. So, the order of events occurring in play is is the plot. So I spoke about that. I'll be talking about plot in my next series. So let me just talk about the plot as well. When we talk about plot, first and foremost, plot is the soul of any play, right? So plot, uh, the order of events occurring in a play is the chain of events that are occurring in a play or drama. It's considered to be a plot, right? What the characters do, what happens to them in the end. So what the characters are doing, what happens to them at the end, right, contributes to the plot. So what happens to the characters? What happens? For instance, there's a story. A is the character, B is the character, C is the character, D is the character, E is the character, F is the character, H is the character. What happens to them? Suppose A loves B and C loves D and E loves F, right? What happens in the story? What happens to the character? Are they able to um, are they able to come together, right? Or they are not able to. So uh, that is actually setting the tone. That is actually setting the chain of events, right? What happens to the character and what happens at the end, right? Are they able to come together or are they not, right? Clear? So what happens constitutes the plot. The unfolding of the story through the series of the incidents, the sequencing, the background, and the climax constitute the plot. So the unfolding of the story, when you unfold the story, right? When you uncover the story, through the and how do you uncover the story? Through the incidents that have occurred in that particular story, right? In that particular plot, not plot, in that particular play or in that particular drama, right? The sequencing or the background and the climax, they are the ones which actually constitute the plot, which actually make up the plot. Then we have ethos. What do we have? Ethos, right? Now, the characters of a play are essentially the persons who perform the drama. So the characters of the play uh, are the are essentially the persons who perform the drama, right? Obviously they will be performing the drama, right? Characters are the ones who perform, who actually perform or do, they do something, right? So the characters are the ones who build up the story, right? The theme is the one that builds up the story, and the characters then get developed, right? All right, so they are interwoven with the plot and bring out the theme of the play. So characters are interwoven with the plot, right? And they bring out together, they bring out the theme of the play. Lexis. Then we move on to Lexis. The diction or the language used is the most important aspect of a play. It is only through the language, the dialogues, that the playwright communicates with the audience. So it is only because of the usage of dialogues that the writer communicates with the reader, right? That the playwright communicates with the audience, right? And brings his characters alive, and therefore he or she, I will also like to say she, because writers can be females also. It's not that, it's not a male dominated canvas, right? So because I'm a feminist, so that's why. So yeah, coming back to studies, where was I? So the dialogues that playwright communicates with the audience and brings his characters alive. So with the dialogues, he's able to, he or she is able to, he or she are able to, she or he are able to bring the characters alive, right? The wit, accent, tone, soliloquies, and a few techniques which say a lot about a character. Language may include both verbal and non-verbal. So when we talk about language, it can include both verbal as well as non-verbal, right? Uh, so language may include both verbal and non-verbal techniques. There are many famous dialogues and monologues which have lent an eternal life to a drama. So there are, many famous dialogues and monologues also, right? Which have lent an which have lent an eternal life to a drama. For example, to be or not to be. So this this is a very famous line. To be or not to be. This is from Hamlet. Let me tell you that. So to be or not to be, uh, the famous soliloquy is still fresh in the minds of the readers. So it's up to you to be or not to be. Do you want to study or not? So to be something or not to be, right? Then we have Melios. When we talk about melos, it's the music, so the music compositions, right? The sounds and the rhythm of dialogues, the background score, and the sound effects is melos element of the drama. So melos, it has to do with music, right? So the music compositions, the sounds, and the rhythm of the dialogues. Remember that. And the background score, and sound effects is the melos element of the drama. The right kind of music placed at the right points in the story elevates the drama. So the right kind of music, if there's a right kind of music, it will obviously elevate drama, right? You would like to see that drama again and again because of the music, fantastic music that has been used. Might be very melodious in nature, or it might be portraying a lot of emotions, right? So in Greek plays, melos would also consist of the utterances by the chorus. When we talk about Greek plays, uh, chorus was also there, right? So we are talking about that how melos would also consist of utterances by the chorus. So if there were utterances by the chorus, they were also being included in this, in the plays, in the dramas. Now we move on to the last category, that is opsis. This is the visual element so the visual elements like costumes, special effects, stage, props, and makeup accentuate the visual elements of the play and highlight the characters. So if you talk about makeup, right? Even like I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer, so when I used to give my performance, like I have given in Kamani Auditorium and Sai Auditorium. So when I had given the performance in Kamani Auditorium and Sai Auditorium. In the green room, we used to have our costumes, costumes made, and we used to wear our costumes and get ready and apply makeup. So why is it done? It's done in order to enhance the beauty. It's done in order to enhance, in order to elevate something, right? In order to make something look better, right? So here also special effects were used, special lighting is there. When we are on stage, lighting is there. In our green rooms again, uh, makeup, the way makeup uh, people and the, I mean, all the people out there who were there in order to enhance the look, right? Enhance not the look only, the features, and to make a dance look awesome, right? So if we see it from a dramatic perspective also, here also we get to see that how the visual elements like costumes, right? So costume of Bharatanatyam is also very beautiful, intricate. It has intricate designs in it. So and different colors for different levels, right? So and there are so you can remember it like that, the visual elements like costumes, special effects, stage props, then there are straight stage props also, and makeup and makeup which used to accentuate the visual elements of the play and highlight the uh, characters. So it used to basically highlight the characters. With this, we come to the end of the session. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please do support my channel. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Love you. Bye, guys. Love you, learners out there. Till then, yes, let's all keep learning. Let's all keep growing. Let's all keep evolving. Bye bye.